Hey there, Longtime Toolies, it's Kyle. I'm back, and this week I have a quick video on tuning up a bandsaw. A bandsaw, great little tool to have in a shop, super useful. You can do rip cuts, you can do fancy joints, you can make bandsaw boxes. Bandsaw boxes look like this. I want to make some of them for Christmas gifts for my friends and family. I have more than one friend, believe it or not. My friends and family. So I want to make sure my bandsaw is tuned up so that I get nice quality cuts out of it. I've already replaced the blade. That's not a big deal. Replacing the blade is pretty straightforward. I'll show you real quick how you would go about doing it. I'm not doing it again. You loosen up the tension, you pop out the blade, you put the new one back in, and you get it nice and tensioned up again. That's where the tuning starts. So that's where we're going to pick it up. So here we are in the top of the saw. We got the tension set. I'll show you guys how I did it. You take a little, ruler. I'm using a combination square. I'll show you one-handed as best I can. Here, see, it moves about 1/8 of an inch. It's not too loose, not too tight. We got the Goldilocks zone in there. So we got the tension set. Now we're gonna get the tracking set. The tracking, you wanna get the blade to move in the middle of the wheel. This is called the tire, this little black part. So you wanna get it to move in the center of that as you spin in the direction of the blade travel. Now, in order to adjust that, you'll usually come to the back. You see, I've got a little fancy diagram there. You'll loosen this up and then move this front or back, depending on if you want it to go front or back. Once you get that set, you want to play with it a little bit. You don't want to do too big of a turn, and as you're doing it, just keep spinning it so that you can see which direction and how much. Once you get that locked in, go ahead, lock back your little wing nut there, and at that point you can close this up. Now that we got the tension and the tracking, we're going to do the bearings. This saw has 3 bearings on the bottom, 3 bearings on the top. In order to do the bearings, you're going to need an Allen key, so I pointed, and each bearing is going to be so that each bearing is going to be just to the side of the blade. You don't want it touching as the blade spins. But if you move the blade over, you do want it touching. That helps keep it tracking straight and not, wandering on your cuts. And then the one in the back, you're going to want the same thing. Shouldn't be touching it as the blade moves, but if it's pushed back a little bit, which it almost always will be because we'll be pushing wood through it, you want it to move. That's to keep the blade straight so that it doesn't fly. I open this back up, by the way. It doesn't fly off the track. In order to do that, it's pretty straightforward. It just takes time. You want to use a feeler gauge if you have one, or a dollar bill, and you loosen the bearings. Real simple. If you don't know how to do this, then give someone else your bandsaw because you're going to kill yourself. You loosen the bearings and you get them set with the dollar bill or the feeler gauge. I think it's like 0.004 on a micrometer if you have one of those, but it's really, this isn't rocket science here. You just want to make sure that if the blade comes over, it'll touch. Same thing on the top, right? Same thing on the top. See here, you see here, same thing. If the blade just spins up and down or spins, you don't want to spin it the other way. But you got the blade spinning, it shouldn't touch. But if you move it over, it'll touch. And then there's a bearing in the back. See if we can show that one off. There it is. There's a bearing in the back too, that when the blade is pushed back, you want it to hit that also. So we got that set, everything's good. We're ready to do our cutting. Okay, everything's buttoned up, everything's safe. I got it plugged in because I'm about ready to cut. I want to do a test cut. I'm just going to use a piece of 1/2 inch maple plywood, nothing too hard. But you see here, I did a test cut on my last setup, and that's what I got. We're going to do a test cut. Safety first, boots. that. Not too shabby, right? That's a pretty tight turn for this blade. Guess I can take these off, even though I look good in them. So that's all we really need. I'll be able to make some nice tight cuts on even real thick stacks of wood. And not a bad way to spend a little morning or an afternoon tuning up your bandsaw, getting everything cutting great. All right, Toolies, that's it. Tuning up a bandsaw. Before you do yours, check your owner's manual. Make sure you're doing it correctly, doing it safely. Blah, 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 disclaimer. Coming up, I got some bandsaw boxes. I got some, some plain stuff. I like plain, so I'm going to do more of that. Chaps has some carving coming up. He's been carving up a storm with his Arbortech tools. Kate might even be dropping some carving videos. Who knows? So stay tuned. We got a ton of great content coming out for you guys. Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. I'll pop the URLs on the screen. You'll see them just like every time. Go ahead, follow us. Let us know what you want to see. Give us suggestions. Give us feedback. We're all just learning. No one's an expert here. There's always someone better than you. So we're open to whatever. Let us know. We really appreciate you guys tuning in, and interacting with us. It's been great. You guys are awesome. So thanks. And that's all we have for today. Toolies. Bye.